Weak from hunger, the carnivores prowl, ready to tangle with all comers in order to pinch a few scraps from the feast. As live prey is scarce, even lions must make do with carrion. The vultures have spotted a giraffe carcass. Alerted by their flight, this group of hyenas hurries to the designated spot. In periods of abundance, a desiccated carcass like this would not interest anyone. But during the months when food is scarce, even the slightest scraps are welcome. Hyenas are perhaps more adept at keeping the leftovers to themselves than all the other carrion eaters, and they certainly have their techniques for dislodging the first arrivals. Vultures, jackals and hyenas vie with each other, each taking its share where it can, using the tools at its disposal: razor beaks, serrated teeth or grinding jaws. In the end, each manages to get enough to ease its hunger a little. Herds of wildebeest are making their way towards the river. Soon the ground will carry the muffled sound of their approach to the carnivores, signaling the end of their wait. It's the sound of the largest land migration on Earth. Several vultures have already taken up strategic positions. Soon there will be hundreds. But waiting nearby is an even more ferocious beast, one the Maasai call Lord of the River. Its camouflage allows it to go largely unnoticed, but when the time comes, it will exact a heavy toll from the horde passing through its domain. For crocodiles, the wildebeest migration is the major event of the year. They exist on meager rations for months and are well prepared when the herds finally arrive. It is now late August. The wildebeest have been on the march for 4 months. They are exhausted and emaciated, but almost at the end of their journey. The scavengers are waiting. Green pastures lie ahead, but so does the final ordeal: fording the River Mara. The wildebeest converge on the river. Several thousand are already massing on the banks, awaiting the moment when the more fearless among them will take the plunge. Sensing that the critical moment is near, African vultures and Ruppel's griffon vultures have descended to a lower altitude. Wildebeest seem programmed to obey an impulse to carry on their journey come what may. Some break their backs leaping from the steep banks, but it doesn't seem to matter. What matters is to keep going. This is the last step of their long journey. They must make one last effort to reach the opposite bank without drowning or being swept downstream by the current. Once across, getting out of the river is just as dangerous. After hundreds have passed, the muddy rocks offer little grip to their hooves. The late arrivals are just as helpless. This young wildebeest has been left behind by the herd. Unable to decide whether to attempt the crossing alone, it heads back the way it came. On the other bank, those that were injured during the crossing stand no chance of survival. Even if they manage to steer clear of lions and hyenas, they will die from starvation or exhaustion, and the vultures will mop up the remains. The same goes for the carcasses that drift downstream. This crossing, however, has left few casualties, so the vultures and other scavengers will have to wait for the next one. Mid-September, the main body of the wildebeest migration is assembling near the river. Over the last few days, they've been arriving in waves of 1,000 or 2,000. This time, the vultures will be richly rewarded. The banks of the River Mara have rarely witnessed such numbers. The wildebeest are in a dreadful state. The plains have been trampled on for days, and there's nothing left to graze. The youngest and the weakest collapse and remain where they fall. Driven by hunger and urged on by the mass, the first few rows jump. The rest follow, transfixed by this wild frenzy. But the first among them discover it was a deadly trap. The opposite bank has a steep wall that the wildebeest can't climb. Some 50,000 animals are trying to ford the river at this point. It's too many. This breathtaking spectacle is turning to tragedy. Finally, they've found a way out. One tiny bottleneck for all of them. Curiously, the wildebeest change their itinerary from year to year, never reusing the crossing points from the last migration. This year's choice is certainly deadly, but no memory will remain in the minds of the survivors. Gradually, peace returns to the River Mara. The number of dead is incalculable. This herd of wildebeest has paid very dearly for its annual passage. "20 or 30 kilometers downstream, a stretch of river claimed by a herd of hippopotami has been turned into a stinking mass grave. Just days ago, the vultures were scrapping over dried-out carcasses. Now, they are proud possessors of a great stockpile of dead meat.